One of the most important details of any film, no matter how magical, is the costumes. Whether the costume is being made by hand by the costume designer or hand-drawn by the animators, the realization of the costumes helps sell the aesthetic of the film. When it comes to taking us to far-off magical lands, Disney reigns supreme. In the past years, Disney's been revitalizing its old films and remaking them in live action, so we thought this is the perfect time to talk about the 10 secrets behind popular Disney costumes you may have missed. Whether you're a dashing rogue or a fairy tale princess, don't forget to give the video a like and hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on all things Screen Rant. Before we start, can you guess the film based off of these emojis? Stay tuned to find out. Elsa in Frozen. We still have Frozen's insanely popular song Let It Go stuck in our heads, and looking back at Elsa's original concept design still haunts our dreams sometimes. But there is something symbolic you may have missed about Elsa's costume in the hit film Frozen. Before she dons the iconic icy dress we're all familiar with, Elsa spends the early parts of the movie in her royal outfit, which features a much more conservative look and a greater color palette. It's the choice of color that becomes incredibly important to the character later on. In many monarchies, the color purple is often chosen to represent royalty. After Elsa puts Arendelle in deep snow, she flees the castle and sets out for the snowy mountains to live in exile, where she sings that famous song. It's here that she literally lets go of her purple cape and the responsibilities of being queen as the wind casts it away. So, what was once a fun little transformation scene now actually becomes a really intriguing look at Elsa's beliefs and ambitions, or lack thereof at this point. Who would have known that costume storytelling could be so interesting? While we're talking about Elsa, do you know the name of the snow golem she creates? Stay tuned for the surprise answer.
I just thought if it does get much bigger. Yes?
Cinderella. Once upon a time, in 2015, there was a live-action remake of Cinderella that charmed audiences and received a fair bit of praise. It even went on to get nominated for an Oscar for Best Costume Design. Who doesn't immediately think of the dress when someone mentions Cinderella? However, it's not the dress, or Cinderella, that we're going to be talking about today.
Where was I?
Rather, it has to do with an unfortunate reality poor old Prince Charming had to endure while on the set of the remake. Apparently, there was too much charming to go around, if you catch my drift. Thinking that showing too much bump would be too much of a horror for such a family-friendly film, Game of Thrones actor Richard Madden confessed on Jimmy Kimmel Live that he had to strap down his family jewels in order to hide any suggestive body parts. Madden revealed that he had to wear a jockstrap, which, in combination with the white pants, actually made the actor cry. Talk about being constrictive. The things princes must do for true love. To save him some agony, clever positioning of the actors was used to spare Madden some pain for the promotional material.
Fire!
Mulan. Let's get down to business. Mulan is one of the more serious films to grace the Disney back catalog, dealing with issues of war and gender identity. In order to protect her family, Mulan ups and joins the army in her father's place, pretending to be a man, as women were not allowed in the army at this point in history. However, there are a few instances where her costume design reminds us of her past life. In the beginning of the film, Mulan can be seen wearing variants of blue and red across her waist. Despite being confined to armor for a good portion of the film, her big showdown at the end of the film against Shan Yu shows her out of armor and wearing a similar color scheme that she was initially wearing in the beginning. Despite pretending to be someone else for a good portion of the film, Mulan ultimately doesn't forget who she is and where she's come from, and a simple color arrangement reminds us that this is Mulan fighting, not Ping. Aladdin. Aladdin is without doubt one of the most beloved Disney films of the 90s. Robin Williams as the genie? Bring it on.
That's a good move. I can't believe it. I'm losing to a rug.
But we're not here to talk about how great that performance was. We're here to talk about Aladdin and his costume. His street clothes may not look like much. A pair of loose, dingy pants, shoes, a vest, and a hat. But his prince outfit is way more styling. But there's a little something going on with his outfit that you may have missed. In case you didn't know, Aladdin is a chronic liar, telling fibs to anyone to convince himself mainly that he's not a street rat. Whenever Aladdin is lying, however, the plume on the top of his hat decides to instantly give up standing up properly and falls over his face. It's a subtle effect, but it's also impossible to miss once you know about it. Perhaps like the magic carpet, the plume is also sentient and aware of the world around it. Time will tell if Aladdin's lie detector will make its way to the live-action adaptation, with Guy Ritchie of King Arthur fame being rumored to be directing. Jack Sparrow in Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl. Probably the most iconic part of any pirate film, aside from the ships and bad teeth, is without question the costumes. And when it comes to memorable pirates, none is more famous these days than Captain Jack Sparrow himself. His costume hasn't changed too much over the years, featuring wild hair, his trademark hat, red bandana, and lots of bling. But there's one thing that you may have totally missed that was part of actor Johnny Depp's costume. For most of the film, the actor was actually wearing contact lenses. The reason behind implementing contact lenses is quite genius, in fact. Apart from making Jack's eyes seem darker, the lenses acted as sunglasses for the quick-thinking pirate, as the tropical St. Vincent shoot was causing Depp to squint too much, especially when the sun reflected off the water. The lenses allowed him to carry out his scenes in comfort and to perfection. To help craft the pirate world, the costume department crafted over 900 different wardrobe pieces for the film. That's a whole lot of piracy going on.
Anita, darling. Good morning, Cruella.
Cruella De Vil. Cruella De Vil is without doubt one of the most infamous and evil Disney villains to ever grace the big screen.
Woof woof!
I mean, her family name is a play on devil, for crying out loud. So it makes sense that her live-action costume be reflective of her cruel intentions, with plenty of fur to go around. With a full wig, makeup, and outfit, the dog who was tasked with playing Purdy actually cowered in terror when he saw Glenn Close come onto the set. We don't blame him. The look was pretty intense, but we guess the costume had the right effect. Despite De Vil being a terrible human being with no love for animal rights, Close is nothing like her villainous character, and made sure that the costume only used faux fur for the coats. Moana. Moana was a smash hit with audiences, with its vibrant soundtrack and faithful portrayal of Polynesian mythology and culture. It's in this respect that the team at Disney nailed the costume design for Moana herself. The film is actually inspired by old myths and legends, so Disney felt now more than ever they had to get the costumes right. Despite the film being animated, costume designer Nessa Bove stated in an interview that she had help from the Pacific Trust in capturing the spirit of the culture. They reflected that at the time, and considering the resources that would be available to the island people, most of the material that would make up the everyday clothing would be organic and natural, as opposed to a structured fabric. Hence the straw-like material around her legs and her top, which is made out of mulberry tree. Her necklace is a mollusk seashell, one to represent land and the other one to represent sea. Bove further went into detail about how important it was that the dress be a reflection on history, so Moana's costumer reflected the naval adventuring that would have been evocative of that culture at the time. Unlike Elsa's purple, the use of red here signifies royalty.
Oh, please don't cry.
Snow White. Snow White is one of the oldest Disney princesses, dating back to 1937. Her trademark black hair, blue and gold dress, and red ribbon have become iconic and have stood the test of time. But did you know that Snow White is actually the first human character to be animated by Disney in a feature-length film? Back in the day, animating humans wasn't exactly easy, especially when it came to animating women. Disney had experimented with this in some of their short films, but came up short. The closest they ever came to was Miss Bon Bon in the Cookie Carnival. It was Bon Bon that would actually serve as the basis for Snow White's figure, and Betty Boop for her general appearance. Her dress, however, takes inspiration from history. The tight blue bodice, large sleeves of red and blue, and the extra-large collar suggest her clothing was heavily inspired by the Tudor era, which makes sense considering Snow White is technically the first Disney princess. So why not make her look royal? Fun fact, to give Snow White her rosy cheeks, the animators actually put real blush over the animated cells. Rey in Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Some of us still have to wrap our heads around the fact that the Star Wars films are owned by Disney. They are 2 for 2 right now, with The Last Jedi being very much on everyone's minds. There is no doubt in anyone's mind, however, that Rey was one of the standout characters of The Force Awakens. Despite the large impression she made in that film, there's no denying her costume didn't have the same effect. Unlike the rest of the characters in the film, Rey's outfit is extremely simple, but the original concept for the costume was initially not for Rey. Her outfit was actually inspired by the artwork of Ralph McQuarrie, who did most of the original designs for the original films. The Force Awakens team went through the archives and found some of the old artwork, which saw a proposed female lead in an outfit that would eventually become Rey's almost 40 years later. The outfit would quickly be adopted by fans all over the world. And who said hoarding all our doodles was a bad idea? Belle in Beauty and the Beast. There's no denying that the live-action remake of Beauty and the Beast was a huge hit for Disney, raking in almost $175 million domestically in its opening weekend. When it comes to grand fairy tale films like this one, the costumes certainly help bring the magic to life. And who could ever forget Belle's iconic yellow dress that she wears for her dance with Beast? Unlike the animated version of the film though, the live-action one needed an actual dress for Emma Watson to wear. The team tried to replicate the costume as close as they could to the original animated version, with the goal of augmenting the dress for live action, which turned out to be both incredibly simple and challenging at the same time, as they didn't want to change it too much and alienate fans of the iconic dress. When it came to Belle's jewelry, mainly her golden ear cuff and her necklace, the costume designer wanted them to feel as alive as the objects in the castle, creating an organic and nature-inspired aesthetic to the design. Since the castle is constantly shifting and full of life, the jewelry was meant to be a reflection of that reality. So there you have it, folks. Screen Rant's 10 secrets behind popular Disney costumes you may have missed. What do you think of our list? What is the most influential Disney outfit for you? Have you ever dressed up as a Disney character before? Let us know in the comments below. If you answered marshmallow to our question about Elsa's snow golem, well, then you deserve your own marshmallow. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more awesome videos like this one.